everybody, and welcome to Elevate the Conversation podcast. I am here today with my amazing clinic manager and health coach, Olivia, and we're going to talk today about our experiences doing the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. And I just want to let you all know that I met Dr. Valter Longo, who is the creator of this diet, back in 2018 when his book, The Longevity Diet, is probably backwards, but when his book was newly released and he was speaking at an A4M conference. And part of what I do, I am trained as an anti-aging provider through the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And our goal really is to promote longevity. And Dr. Valter Longo was really talking about different strategies to promote healthy aging and promote longevity. And there is so much information out there now on the internet about diet, lifestyle, functional medicine, exercise, fasting, juice fasting. And I feel like there's a lot of information out there that's coming from people who are saying that they're health experts or that they are trainers or functional nutritionists. And I'm not sure what type of science they're actually basing their recommendations on. And that's where I think this conversation is really important. Today, primarily, Olivia and I want to share with you what our experiences were doing a 5-day fast through the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. But I also want to gently open up the topic and idea about how to maintain longevity and promote healthy aging. And I did want to just read one little quick quote from Dr. Longo's book, because this is really important to my heart as I try to be the most honest, transparent, and beneficial provider for my patients that I can be. And so this is what Dr. Valter Longo says. He does say, among the longevity factors within your control, what you eat is the primary choice that will affect whether you live to 60, 80, 100, or 110. And more important, whether you will get there in good health. So when it comes to dietary recommendations, it's crucial to listen to the right people. In an internet-centered world, perhaps the most dangerous development for your health is the chaos generated by the idea that everyone can give dietary advice. It is essential to determine whether a so-called diet expert has the appropriate range of knowledge before deciding whether he or she is qualified to give you dietary advice. And the reason I think that that's so important is because I make a variety of dietary recommendations to my patients based on the symptoms that they have, their lab results, and what's going on in their life right now. And what I like to say is it's the right diet in the right body at the right time. So a fasting mimicking diet may not be appropriate for everybody. Eventually, that can be a goal to work towards, because we do know that people who live by eating with a slight calorie deficit, they are the ones who live the longest. But if you're a person who has cortisol dysregulation, blood sugar dysregulation, energy dysregulation, metabolic dysregulation, if you're full of toxic chemicals, starting to do a fasting diet is not going to be in your best health or your best interest. So this is a topic that requires a lot of personalized and individualized guidance and recommendations. And that's really what Elevate is all about, is truly personalized healthcare, not following pre-programmed diets, pre-programmed programs, not ordering the same set of labs for everybody, but truly individualized care. So with that said, I personally have done a number of different 1-day fasts, 24-hour fasts, sometimes into 2 days. So maybe not quite 48 hours, but maybe 36 hours fasting. And I have done that periodically for probably the last 5 or 6 years, just as a way to start to reset my metabolism and to help me be a little bit more insulin sensitive. And it's just a great strategy, especially when I was a yoga instructor. I had my own yoga studio and I would teach sometimes 4 or 5 yoga classes a day. And it was really I was just really into movement with my body and optimizing my insulin sensitivity and feeling as fit as I could. I have never done a 5-day fast, and I was very anxious and nervous about what that would feel like, because I do know that I get hangry. And so for me, blood sugar dysregulation, or, those peaks and drops as your body starts, you run out of glucose and then you get a bunch of glycogen released. I have in the past noticed some changes with how I felt, and I wasn't sure how I would do on a 5-day fast. I loved the Prolon Fasting Mimicking Diet. I felt really well for the 5 days for the most part. So we'll talk about day by day, but I want to have Olivia kind of jump in now, because Olivia has her own experiences with diet, fasting. So you go, Olivia, and let's have you hop in here.
Yeah, well, I have to agree. I really enjoyed completing the fast. Outside of some intermittent fasting where, maybe I'm skipping breakfast, I've never completed a fast before. So 5 days, a little intimidating. But I have to say Prolon made it really easy and really enjoyable. Something I'm looking forward to doing again. I felt like the benefits of doing it definitely outweighed the little bit of hangry that we experienced in the first couple of days. So I'm really excited to give it another go.
So let's talk a little bit about why do a 5-day fast and what's different between a 5-day fast and a 1-day fast. So the purpose of a 1-day fast is to use up all of your stored glycogen. So every time you eat, any kind of leftover calories gets converted in your liver for storage for later, because we are creatures that are we're foragers, right? We're hunter-gatherers and foragers. And so you have to eat a meal, rest and digest, and then eventually go out and get another meal. So you have to have the energy to go do that. So we have this sort of, storage container in our body that's set up to maintain extra calories for use later when we need it, so that we can function. And so the problem is that we really don't experience periods of fasting now beyond maybe the 8 hours that people sleep overnight, right? And so we never really empty out our storage containers. So a 24 to 48 hour fast just helps to empty out those storage containers. And it's important because if all of your closets are full and your storage containers are full, you have to start making more storage, right? And so that's where we start getting fatty liver, elevated cholesterol, and fat deposits elsewhere, because our body just doesn't have any place else to put these extra calories. So it has to start getting creative to make a place for extra calories. Once we get into past the 3rd day of fasting, that's where we've kind of gone through all of our glycogen stores. We've emptied out our storage containers, and now our body starts to have to get creative with where am I going to get my energy? So that's where around 72 hours, we start moving into this phase called autophagy. And autophagy translated means self-eating. Okay, so what the cells start to do for energy is, if they're running out of glucose storage, they're going to turn to dirty organelles, or little parts inside the organ that are the cell that are not functioning properly anymore. And then your body's going to start breaking down the organelles for energy. And then your body might even start breaking down dead cells for energy. And so this is where the most critical part and the best healing benefits and longevity comes from doing a longer fast, because now for the last 2 days, your body is just kind of going through a clean house. I'm going to get rid of all of these dysfunctional cells, and then we start to just regenerate new healthy cells. So can you talk a little bit about your experience the first couple of days, and then what did you feel like moving into those 72 hours? Did you notice a shift or a difference?
Oh, I definitely noticed the shift. So I would say, the first day is really it sets you up for success. It's the heaviest calorie day. I think you get about 1,100 calories that day. And so it kind of sets you up to get into that fasting state. For me, the hardest day was day 2 and probably halfway through day 3. That's when you really start to be like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. Like I wish, I wish I could have a meal right now. Where if your family's eating around you, it gets a little bit difficult. But I felt like a switch halfway through day 3, which is where, the self-eating phase starts. Once that happened, I mean, my appetite just evened out. I was no longer craving food or anything like that. It was really easy to complete the rest of the 2.5 days that were left. And my energy increased significantly. I almost felt kind of as if things were renewing or recalibrating in my body. So it was really interesting, even, eating healthy and incorporating movement into my daily lifestyle. I still kind of always felt like a little bit of a drag. But after getting through those first 48-ish hours, all of a sudden I just felt this boost of energy that I hadn't experienced in quite some time.
So I actually experienced very similar. I had a very similar experience to you. Just for everybody to see, I kind of just want to show, again, this might be backwards, but this is what the fasting mimicking diet comes in a kit. And then what is so beautiful about it is that inside the kit, I'll try and hold it up again. You can see there's 5 boxes and each box is numbered. And so you move through the diet with, this is day 1. So it's got a number 1 on it, and it has all the food that you're going to be eating is in this little box. And then it's got like 4 tea bags per box. And so you can, drink a lot. And man, I went and bought, there's an organic strawberry hibiscus tea that I drank, like, I think a whole box while I was doing the fast, because it was just so nice to have a tea to drink, something with a little bit of flavor. And plus the hibiscus tea is pink. I don't know why it's so satisfying to drink a pink drink. It has no calories whatsoever, but a pink drink. It's like, okay, I'm all over it with lots of ice on a hot day. But for me, I do think the first day was a breeze. It was not an issue. The second day I did probably in the evening, I started to feel a little bit tired. Into the third day, I started noticing, for me, I have developed in the past pretty significant tendonitis in both of my forearms, and my arms ached in the third day. And I felt like it was my body breaking down damaged muscles or tendons. It was really interesting. I noticed places where I have had injuries became achy, the third into the fourth day. And I really thought that was interesting.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. It's just so interesting that you're saying that, because I experienced something very similar, where I started to kind of feel in my shoulders and my elbows, just like a soreness or an achiness. And for like a little while, I was just like almost a little bit disappointed, because part of the benefit of fasting is that it does reduce inflammation. And so I was like, it's supposed to be reducing inflammation, and I'm feeling it. But now, after completing it and seeing how I feel afterward, I agree with you that I feel like it was almost feeling the process of the body, healing itself.
Yeah, like getting rid of things. And I developed my tendonitis being really stupid before my senior year in college. I was a nurse's aide in a nursing home, and I did all my lifts with the same arm. And I went through a period of time where there was a lot of short staffing. And so I worked a lot of back-to-back shifts, doubles. I would go in, work in the morning, go home, go back and work at night, put people to bed. And then I was 20, really smart. And so I decided in the midst of a really, really heavy work week that I was going to go out power walking and carrying my 5-pound ankle weights. Power walking, holding 5-pound ankle weights. And I developed such significant tendonitis. The orthopedist said he'd actually never seen anything as inflamed as my arm. I thought they were going to have to amputate my arm. My whole arm was so sore. But after, once you live with tendonitis, you learn strategies to not get a flare again. And so it was really interesting because I haven't had a flare of tendonitis now in a long time. I'm not anywhere near 20 years old anymore. But the achiness that I felt, it was really reminded me of where I had the pain when I first developed the tendonitis. And that's why I'm kind of sharing that story, is just because it really felt like it went back almost to the beginning to fix the inflammation. I have no idea if I'm just reading into it or what, but it was really interesting.
Yeah, it's so significant. And I really don't think you are reading into it because our experiences were so similar.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like that would be pretty wonky if we just coincidentally had similar experiences. But it's amazing to me how much you can really feel the shift in your body, the healing happening, and the changes. I mean, throughout the fast, I felt like repairs to my gut. I felt more energized. Like I said, I felt like that achiness for like a day or so, and then was a lot of relief. So you really are able to feel those changes and those shifts in your bodies, which is so amazing to actually be able to experience that.
Yeah. And so what's contained in these boxes are these little packages. So we probably should talk about the fact that it's fasting mimicking. So you are actually eating a little bit of food that's provided. It is a little bit, but they have things like olives and little bars. And then every day you get 2 little soups that you can reconstitute. And then there's one breakfast bar that you get. And then it starts to alternate between being able to eat these little kale crackers versus olives. And so it kind of alternates. So you are consuming some calories during the day. Like Olivia said, it's in the like 700s each day after the first day. So how did you feel on day 4 and day 5?
Day 4 and day 5, I felt really good. I felt, it felt like a normal way of eating, to be honest. There was no more kind of longing for, a full meal or anything like that. It just felt really normal. So they were by far the easiest days for me to complete. But I did want to shout out to Prolon because I'm usually not a fan of like dietary foods or shakes and things like that, but they really did come through with the flavor and making completing a program like this really easy. Actually, the soups were something I really looked forward to every day. They were really enjoyable and surprisingly filling. So if anyone's a little scared of like, I don't know, if I want to eat this food, how good could it be? It's really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did too. I think you and I both mentioned one of the hardest things about doing a dietary shift is the mental calisthenics and work that you have to do to try and think about what am I going to cook, and I have to go shopping, how am I going to fix it, do I have the time? I mean, there's just so much when it comes to trying to make a really significant lifestyle alteration with changing how you're getting your calories in. And I think you and I both kind of agreed at the end of this. I was just like, do I have to eat again? Like, do I have to go cook? It was so, and I love food. I mean, I'm all about food. I love cooking. I love shopping, but there was something about just not having to think about it for 5 days. And it's in the box. So what I'm going to eat is in the box, and I don't have to do anything. It was so nice.
Yeah, it definitely helps with that mental load of meal planning and meal prepping. That was a nice little vacation.
Yeah.
For sure. But to be honest, after completing the fast, I keep using the term recalibrating. I really do feel like after day 5, my appetite didn't come back full force like I thought it was going to. I thought day 6, I was gonna be like, give me all the food. And I really wasn't, I felt like my body had kind of relearned what true hunger was, and then what it truly felt like to be satiated. And I was able to kind of continue to eat like that afterward, like, oh, a little hunger pang. I realized I only need so much to feel full and nourished. So I would give my body that, and then I would wait till the next hunger ping. And it was just really interesting that it just retaught my body how to eat and how to be full.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think that's one thing where you and I really talk about sort of connecting with your body. There's so much, there's such a big emotional component to eating. And so many people turn to eating really when they're anxious or tired or angry or bored, or just when you sit down to watch something on TV, what you do is eat. So out of habit.
Yep.
You know, and so I do think that it's important for people to recognize that Prolon and doing this kind of a fasting mimicking diet for 5 days, it does sort of reset your metabolism, and it can help to make a physical shift with how your body experiences calories coming in. But for many people doing Prolon along with something like health coaching, they may benefit, because the concern would be they'll get these benefits from doing a 5-day fast, but when it's over, their body isn't necessarily telling them to start eating all the food, but it's very easy to slip back into habits. So can you talk just a little bit about some of the initial work that you have people do as a health coach when it comes to reframing their relationship with food?
Oh, yeah. So when we do coaching, we work a lot on mind-body connection, and also trying to identify the root causes of why we have the habits that we have. And so completing the Prolon, it really does force you to become more mindful. So it's a really great way to kind of start that reset, and then we can work on continuing to identify those root causes and figuring out why we do the things that we do.
You and I are really focused on helping people think about intuitive eating or the mind-body connection, and what their relationship is with food and feeling satiated. So you and I kind of were able to come to a aha moment, or really pay attention and honor the biological changes that we felt following just a single 5-day fasting mimicking program. But for a lot of people who have these additional emotional attachments to food and habits, how do you think coaching or mindset of food could help give people those kinds of benefits even after their first 5-day Prolon?
Well, that's a great question. So in coaching, we work a lot on mind-body connection, and we also try to identify the root causes of why we have the habits that we have. So whereas completing the 5-day fast will definitely help with your physical mind-body connection, through coaching, when we identify the reason for our habits, we can put those together. So you've already physically felt the change and the shift in your body of what it's like to be hungry and what it's like to be full, and what you feel like when you're satiated. But now we need to identify those habits and kind of reframe our belief system about food and why we eat things. And the two together would make a really big difference in our relationship with food and movement, for that matter too. Because one thing I do want to point out is completing the fast, it really, I just want to reiterate that it really did give a shift and a boost in energy. And it was like a renewal. So can also help push the follow through with movement as well.
Yeah, I felt lighter.
Mhm.
I don't really have, so you can use the fasting mimicking diet as a way to help promote a weight loss program. So it can definitely be something that would be done as part of a medical guided weight loss program for sure. I have a few pounds that I've gained with all the stress of opening a business and COVID, and the fact that I don't own a yoga studio anymore. I'm not teaching 4 or 5 yoga classes a day. So the way that I now work is sitting. So sure, there's, I certainly have I see where my physical health is not where it has been. So I did want to lose a few pounds. And I did. And I noticed that over my entire body. But for me, the goal was really, number one, to try it out so I can talk about it as a personal experience to my patients. And number two, I really am impressed with the longevity work that Dr. Longo is doing. And I want to walk the walk. You know, I want to live what I preach. And so for me, finishing the fast, I really did notice a significant shift in my energy, in the amount of food that I eat. And I don't overeat. I don't do a lot of snacking, but even just when I cook on Sundays, I'll find that I'm tasting or eating a lot of the things that I'm cooking throughout the day and not necessarily sitting following a meal plan. I don't have any desire to do that kind of snacking anymore on a day when I'm cooking. I really do notice a shift even in me with my relationship with food. But I feel just a boost of mental energy and mental clarity. And so some people might ask, is Prolon appropriate? You know, you have women that are, 5'2" and 130 pounds, and you can have men that are 6'2" and 250 pounds. Are you going to put them both on the same fasting mimicking diet? And the answer is yes. So at the Longevity Center at Stanford University, this is a robustly tested fasting mimicking plan. And the only thing that changes based on weight is, I'm going to open this box here. There is this little drink that you have that helps to keep your body from going into a state of breaking down muscle for energy. And this is based on weight. Everything else is the same, and they have studied this up one side and down another. And the meal style, the meal plan, the calories, it's appropriate for everybody of all weights. So I think that's important. So now that we've kind of both talked a little bit about our relationship with food maybe has changed a little bit, and we both feel satiated a little bit more readily. How is your energy? So we kind of intentionally waited for about a week and a half after we finished the program before we were going to sit and talk about it. So a week and a half post program, how are you feeling?
I am pleasantly surprised. I was feeling really great coming right off of it. My appetite had changed. I had lost some weight. My mood was increased. My energy had increased. And I was, a little skeptical and thought, okay, in a few days, all of that's going to kind of start to shift back. But I'm so happy to report that I'm still feeling all of the benefits as if I just came off of it. I really just feel really good. And I'm really looking forward to doing the second of 3 rounds. That's recommended your first time, and that's coming up in about a week. And I'm really excited because if I feel this good after the first round, I can't imagine what I'm going to feel like after the second round.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So the way that Prolon recommends that the fasting mimicking diet be used is initially you do the 5-day fast once a month for 3 months in a row. And they do recommend that you wait 25 days in between each round, but they also recommend that you start your second round as close to 25 days as possible. At least that's how they have done the studies. And then depending on your health goals and your health status, it can be recommended that you repeat this 5-day fast anywhere from in 4 months or in 6 months. For maintenance, for a person who is just already pretty healthy and has met their health goals, it's still recommended that you do the 5-day fast twice a year. It can be recommended for some people to continue doing the fasting mimicking diet once a month until you've reached your goal weight. That is an alternate way to use the program. And so this is where determining what your health goals are, how you're going to reach them, what you're doing in between your fasting, that's where a conversation with your healthcare provider is really essential in order to tailor a program specific to your needs and specific to your personal health and your health markers and health goals.
And just to add to that too, when you finish the fast, you don't want to go right back to, a traditional American diet where you're eating a lot of processed foods. And one thing I didn't mention earlier, along with, my body kind of relearning how to feel hunger and feel full, is that I really started kind of craving the foods that my body needs. So I came off of the fast, I was able to go back to, my normal diet, but it was a lot, all of a sudden I really, really wanted salad, or I really, really wanted grilled chicken, and I was just really craving things that my body knew that it needed to be nourished. And that's just, goes back to the mind body connection, where like I tell my clients, our bodies have all the answers and they're always trying to tell us, but can we hear it? Usually not, because we're so, clouded with all this information or lifestyle or schedules. So when we really do take the time to listen, our body has all the answers. And completing the fast allowed me to kind of reconnect with it and listen to what it needed. And I think that also is contributing to why I'm still feeling so good, because my body's saying, please give me this. This is what I'm needing. And I'm giving it, and I'm honoring that. And I'm still, receiving the benefits of that.
Yeah, and in the studies that L-Nutra did, in terms of determining what should people be doing in between fasts, they, my understanding from the science is that people were not necessarily put on any specific diet per se in between the 5-day fasts, but I do think that most likely people had naturally shifted the way that they were eating between the diets. And so they may not have been prescribed a specific diet per se, but I would imagine that they had just altered some of the way that they were eating. And so it's a lot of fun to be able to start having people experiment with their own bodies. But I would say that I would 100% agree with you. The reason that we are in the United States some of the most unhealthy people in the industrialized world, and that's because the standard American diet is really carbohydrate and saturated fat laden with a healthy side of sugar. So when it comes to incorporating longevity eating strategies such as the fasting mimicking diet, it is really important to contemplate your relationship with food and learn how to be really selective in choosing foods that are more nutrient dense and I don't want to say calorie poor, but low calorie, nutrient dense foods, such as vegetables. Because the whole point of doing something like a longevity dietary strategy and engaging in a fasting mimicking diet 5 days, once a month for a period of time, the whole point of that is to promote longevity. And so doing something like that, and then in between your fasting days, going out to eat fast food, it undermines everything that you're trying to accomplish. So really talking about reframing your choices and your relationship with how you consume calories and what you choose to put in your body, that's really important. And I like to kind of make a little bit of an analogy with a car. If I don't change my oil, or I put in dirty oil, or I go to the wrong pump and I put diesel fuel in my vehicle, it's not going to go. I'm going to ruin the engine. So food that you eat is meant to run your engine, and we want to be putting in clean sources of fuel, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's a great analogy.
At Elevate, we do have Olivia, who is our health coach, and then we are we do medical guided weight loss here, and Olivia and I are both very passionate about helping people achieve their health goals. And in doing so, we want to understand your personal and unique experiences, and we want to walk the walk as well, like I said. So we are we have 2 more months to go for our fasting mimicking diet. Anybody who is already an Elevate patient and wants to try this, give us a call. We can tell you how you can get your Prolon. And we're just really excited to talk about this again after we've completed our 3rd round. Maybe we'll do it after our 2nd round and our 3rd round. We'll play around with it and see. And stay tuned. We'll be talking a lot more about longevity strategies over the next few months, and trying to educate people on how they can prevent disease, which is what we're all about.